Hi, guys. So, energy work, healing, science really is magic. And I told you I'm going to find ways to show you. And man, if I got a good one for you. So, let's start with the artwork of biblical characters. Isn't that interesting how that will happen? So weird. So, let's talk about the halo or the crown that's always drawn around all of the saints, including Jesus, in all of the traditions and Mary. It's not a metaphor, guys. It's not a metaphor. It's an actual vibrational force that they knew that they could utilize. Bear with me. There are ways that this can be engineered and activated. And I know how to teach you how to do that. The ancient world also knew. The Romans of history burned the library of Alexandria. And in more recent years, the British empires burned the very first Library of Congress in 1814, both, in my opinion, in an effort to destroy this true knowledge. Yet it lives on. You can use this force that I speak of for any spiritual activation, profound, powerful ones at that. You can use it for profound healing and minimalistic healing. You can even, unfortunately, use it in directing damaging vibrations, which is evident in certain things that have taken place in our more recent history that I really can't elaborate on or I get pulled the plug on. Um, where was I? Right. So my point here to this is unless you are someone who can understand the energy within the body, energetic medicine, then you would really never be any wiser to um, an energetic weapon, for example, affecting another person. You wouldn't know how to help heal them, improve them from their ill health if you don't know anything about energy and vibrations. So when I began to learn and work with all of these different energy healings that are all over the world, I started to notice something very interesting about ancient teachings in energy and healing. They all have this common theme where they realize that there's more than one energy, more than one vibration. And so they have divisions or what they would term an aspect of each energy, like layers of an onion. For example, in India, they divide these energies into three main energies or bunas, the pitta, the kapha, and the vata. The Native Americans have four divisions, the four directions or the four elements, northeast, south, and west, or water, fire, air, and earth. The Chinese have five divisions: um, water, air, earth, fire, and spirit, the ethereal. In India, they call that prana, the ethereal. So, all over the world, these ancient people knew, they were aware of this energy that we too should be aware of, that we too should still be learning and teaching and uh, utilizing, understanding it. I think it should be taught in every school, personally. Um, it certainly is in mine. So I got to looking at how, they see different layers, they see different energies, much like I do. But in my opinion, it actually requires more of a 12 division type fold. And here's why. Um, there were 12 disciples around Jesus. There were 12 imams in Shia Islam. There's 12 zodiac signs around a central sun. All of these are 12 around one. Now, if we look at sacred geometry, look at a cube specifically, because the cube gives rise to matter. It's a creator, it's a building block, right? And we're taught these coined phrases for a reason. These old terms matter. The cube has 12 lines that define the cube. If you take a sphere, you can actually fit 12 spheres in the cube around one central sphere, making 13, 12 around the one, fit inside of a cube. So to lend to your understanding, let's look at modern technology. It seems like, truthfully, it seems like a bunch of modern miracles or wonders, yet society has gotten so quickly used to them that they don't even give any thought to it anymore. They just take it for granted as being there, being available. They don't even look at the why or the how. They don't care. I hope to change that. But let's look for a moment at the discoveries and the changes that have been made in the last 100 or 150 years. To truly look at this, we need to put it on a spectrum, like a spectrum analysis, right? One, identification of almost every type of matter that exists in the physical world, um, which we know of as the periodic table of elements. The spectrum or the makeup of the physical evidence of matter created. Two, identifying complete spectrums of electromagnetic energy, the microwaves, and so on and so forth, so that we have here that we're already starting to see the different levels of creation, the different layers, if you will. So I think the ancients are absolutely correct in thinking there's three main layers. Like in India, they have the three main layers because we have the physical, we have the etheric life, which is known as the chi, the prana, or the ether in Greece. And then the third is consciousness, which is the astral, the heavenly, the quantum field. Yet people still don't understand what electromagnetic energy truly is. And I'll tell you what it's not. It's not the vital life force that some have an inkling that it is. If that were true, we could plug our body to a battery and charge it up. It'd be fine and dandy and never perish. Furthermore, we know for a fact now that EMF is actually dangerous and harmful to the human body. We know that through the effects of the microwaves, cell phones, towers, large energy plants, different things like that. Um, Even the damn new light bulbs that we have that emit that sound, that's very aggravating to your mind, your consciousness, your sense of, well-being. It's an aggravating sound, scientifically proven. So my point here is that because of the vibrational components that is being misunderstood and overlooked, we're looking more toward the electromagnetic field instead of looking a little further. The vital life force that's above and beyond the body's perimeter is vibration. This is the animating power behind physical form, known as the universal chi field, the ether in Greece, the Great Spirit to Native Americans. Tesla said it best that we work with what's known as the hertz, and in his opinion is the tired Hertzian waves that tucker out and go slower than the speed of light waves. But then there's another type of waves known as scalar waves that tend to get overlooked, that are faster than light. And that's the real power behind the electromagnetic energy. It's the catalyst. It's the creator, the scalar waves. Electromagnetic energy is, in fact, scientifically worded as decayed life force, the decaying life energy that animates living beings. So unless you know how to harness the scalar waves, the ether, you can't keep enough juice flowing to keep turning the motor, so to speak, for longer than the average life expectancy, for example. Some know how to do this and can make things work without electricity. They can make their electronics work without electricity. This has been proven scientifically. I personally have even done this just to sort of scientifically prove it to the person or people that I was speaking to. We can all do this. We just have to learn to harness the scalar waves. So the discovery of these subtle energies that couldn't be detected by electromagnetic equipment actually began in France around 1930 as a real science to look at. But for all intent and purposes, I have to give props to my man Tesla, because he was actually doing this very same stuff in the 1880s. He just didn't get his credit where it was due. So I'm giving him his props right now. Radio waves engineer, a radio waves engineer in France in the 30s, began picking up these subtle vibrations through the use of the traditional pendulums, the traditional dowsing rods that were on the A-frame thing that, swung. They were used for measurement. They were instruments of measurements. And the dowsing rods as well were used for measurement or, scientific purpose, which is, totally the furthest thing you see from the way that they are used by people now for mental dowsing. There was no questions asked of a pendulum or a dowsing rod. You simply just use them to measure subtle energy. The Bovis scale actually was created because of this, that I did a video on a few months back, where you can actually measure through the pendulum the level of energy that you have in your body, of the scalar wave energy, excuse me, as well as your food or a room you're in or anything. And I think maybe I can get to this behind my keyboard here. I actually have a bogus scale that I drew myself. See how I turn to see it. That. And you just hold a pendulum. You just put the scale near or on whatever you're wanting to measure. Near it is just the spine is on it. Um, you can touch the object or the person with your um, hand that's not going to hold the pendulum as well. You know, like lay your hand, just touch the person next to you and measure their energy scale. I actually use this chart when I'm doing healing work for people. That and the dowsing rods helps me to zone in on weaker energy spots, weaker energy fields. Okay, where was I? Da 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 blah blah blah. Okay, right. So it was radio engineered. Actually gets the props for this. But anyway, um, and yeah, the pendulums of old, they've got the angles and the points so that they can be tuned to pick up particular vibrations, subtle energy vibrations. This is a visual way to um, locate or pick up on a vibration that is or isn't there, that most of us cannot or do not perceive any longer. Or people like myself, we can sense those subtle energies in a room or in a person or whatever. Um, Lots of psychics and energy readers, energy healers can do this. If they can't, then they probably shouldn't be doing that type of work for healing stuff. Um, but anyway, so unless you have a tool, you don't even really realize that these scalar waves exist at all because they're passing through you. They're passing around you all the time. They are right now. You just don't notice them. You're not picking up on them. Now, when they're higher and stronger in frequency, things like the hair on your arms will stand up or the hair on the back of your neck, right? Or you'll suddenly feel tingly all in your hair or something. That is you noticing that subtle energy waves that we call the scalar waves. Okay. But I mean, it's right now, it's really no different than the way that you don't know that radio waves are in the air either, that picks up our TV stations and our local radio stations and whatever else, right? We don't perceive them, we don't feel them unless we're trying to, or we just know how to. And then, we just do. They're just there. So yeah, I just want to point out that whenever you are tuning in a station on a radio or a TV, the way we used to in the old days and stuff, now there's a crystal built into your phones and things, the TVs and stuff. But in the dial was a crystal that you're tuning the crystal to a different frequency, a different wave, radio wave, to pick up a different channel, right? So I need you to remember that, understand that there's a crystal in there because there's crystal in you. And the things I can teach you can activate more of that crystal uh, antenna energy that you have, that sender and receiver stuff, you know? So, anyway, if we go back to ancient, I like to call it I don't know why I can't talk today. Ancient temple science, blah, like the Cathars knew, and allegedly the Egyptians, and Freemasons, and the Cathars, the Jesuits. They all had this great ancient wisdom of temple building science, right? Um, all of these people I just named, broke these scalar waves down into 12 parts or 12 compartments, just like I think it should fully be for a whole of 13. Okay. For a whole of 13. Keep that in mind. Um, these were measured on quality scales by the shape, the sound, the movement, the angle, the color, the proportion, but also of its ability to seem invisible. These are the healers who only use sound or light or color or numbers. Sound bowls are an example of that. A lot of the healers will use a sound bowl and resonate its tone. There are different size bowls. There are different materials to make these bowls with, like the brass and the copper and the crystal and the stone, because all of these different elements have a different scalar wave. And we know now that you can